Hey guys, Stacy Rost of Tom, Jake, and Stacy. Welcome to another Seahawks Spotlight brought to you by Divorce Lawyers for Men. Now, this Spotlight feature video that we've had has profiled Seahawks free agents, pending Seahawks free agents, outside free agents we thought could sign with Seattle, potential draft prospects, and in this fourth and final phase of our offseason Spotlight, we're looking at the picks Seattle actually did make in the 2020 draft. We're going to start that with their first round pick, number 27 overall, linebacker Jordyn Brooks. Now, as a bit of background, when we started this project, we asked ourselves, how can the Seahawks get back to the Super Bowl in 2020? We decided on 5 keys. I mean, there's 1,000,005 things that we talked about that they could improve on, or things that we really like that they do already that they could do even more of in 2020. But we tried to narrow it down. Number 1, pass rush. You need to address that, and that was the first priority for all 3 of us. The second was offensive line help. The third is weapons around Russell Wilson. Guys that can come in and they can be another target. They can diversify the backfield. The fourth is team speed, overall team speed on both sides of the ball. And the fifth and final one was scheme and philosophy. This is a little bit complicated and we're going to get into it a little bit later this summer, but this has to do with the team's approach to coaching, approach to games. These are the kinds of questions we were constantly getting from listeners, like how can the Seahawks start faster in games? Why do we have to wait until the fourth quarter to see this miraculous comeback? Will we see the Seahawks pass more in 2020? Those kinds of questions are ones we get all the time. We figured we would address those in that later section. So let's get started with Jordyn Brooks, talking about how he fits into this plan. The Seahawks selection of Brooks at 27 overall surprised not just outside football critics, but a lot of Seahawks fans also. That's probably because the Seahawks' number 1 overall need was a pass rusher. And there were plenty available there in the first round at 27 overall. They could have even used a wide receiver to help out to add another weapon for Russell Wilson. Instead, they opted to go with a linebacker. Not just any linebacker, a linebacker who starred in 2019 at Texas Tech at middle linebacker, which is exactly where your top paid player on defense starts right now. Well, Jim Nagy, a former Seahawks scout who's the executive director of the Senior Bowl, joined us. You can find that podcast on 1std-sports.com and the Tom, Jake, and Stacy podcast page. He joined us to talk about Jordyn Brooks' fit with Seattle, and he said Jordyn's incredibly fast. Most importantly, he's fun to watch. So the pick made quite a bit of sense to him. He really liked what he saw from Brooks on tape. Now, with all of these profiles, which you can read on 710sports.com also, we have a section we call the big question. What's the question that we have lingering about this guy? Now, this also isn't a surprise, but considering that you took a linebacker with your first pick, and you have 2 veteran linebackers, including your perennial All-Pro Bobby Wagner, the question for Jordyn Brooks is going to be, where does he fit in this linebacker group? Is he playing a Sam role? Is he a weak side linebacker swapping out with KJ Wright? It's hard to think that he'd take over any reps at middle linebacker, but does he help out Bobby there? What does this look like for Seattle? Pete Carroll said he doesn't have a direct answer right now, but it'll be fun for him in Seattle to figure it out. I would guess a challenge they're looking forward to, considering how excited they seemed about this pick. Jake Heaps sees Brooks as a really good fit at weak side linebacker. We're gonna have video profiles on Darrell Taylor, Damian Lewis, all the rest of Seattle's draft picks from 2020. We've also got podcasts. If you want to hear Jake Heaps' breakdown of all of these guys, you can go to 710sports.com on the Tom, Jake, and Stacy podcast page, or download us wherever you get your podcasts. We also ask Jake a few questions each time, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are questions that you might have also. So be sure to tune in. And if you have any more questions, go ahead and tweet at us at Stacy Rost, at JTHeaps9, at Tom Wassel. We would love to talk to you guys about all of these draft picks.